Hope here at Crafty Hope, and I am hopefully going to show y'all how to make a tin ghost with tassels. So let me show you. I was brainstorming some Halloween ideas and came up with this idea of a little tin ghost with maybe some beads hanging off of it, but then the idea hit me to maybe put tassels instead. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. If this video is up, I did it. So the first thing was to find a white tin because I wanted it to be a white ghost with white tassels. That was harder than I thought, but I did find this tin. Apparently held pretzels at some point according to the nutrition information on the back, but it's got some white spaces in here that I think I can cut off into the shape I need. So I'm going to get to that. The first thing I'm going to do is try to cut this tin down to a more manageable size. Let me open it and show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut along the seam here because I know I won't use that seam for anything, and then try to cut along the bottom to flatten this out. So using these really big industrial tin snips from the hardware store, I cut this down. I had a time with it. I made sure I wore gloves and safety glasses while I was doing it, just precautionary. The gloves definitely need to be done because you're dealing with some really really sharp pieces in here. So I cut it down. The top's put away. This is the bottom, and I've got 3 pieces. I had to keep cutting it into small pieces to make it a little more manageable, and I think I'm going to try to use this white section here. So I'm going to clear away some of this stuff real quick. Now what I did is I made my template on just a piece of cardstock. I used the pink because it would stand out against the white, and I had it. So, and I don't use it really for anything else. So we're going to use it for this. Let's try to keep it from moving. Let's see. I don't know if that's going to help much of anything, but we'll see. Alright. It's not exactly what I want. So this, I think the tape is really working for me. Well, let's go ahead and draw the one down here at the bottom that I know I can get. Because if I need to use another piece of the tin, that's fine. So I am just sticking that down, and I've got a fine tip pen. It's a marker, and I'm just going to trace. Take that off, and I've got my 2 ghost shapes here. Alright, so I'll put my little ghost shape aside in case I want to make some more later, and I'm going to use some other tin snips to cut out these designs. Again, I'm going to use my safety glasses. Let me go ahead and put my gloves on too, and I'm going to cut those out and be back in a moment. So I've got these 2 cut out, and I don't believe that they are exactly the same shape, but that's fine. These are fun little Halloween earrings, and I don't really care for exact anything. I like anything a bit more organic. Gives it definitely that handmade feel that I'm aiming for in my work. Okay, so what I've got is, you can see some of the black marker is still on there. You can use all kinds of things to get permanent marker off things, alcohol or acetone or whatever. This is alcohol blending solution from Ranger, and I have found that it works just fine, and it's within my reach here. So I'm just putting a little down on my nonstick craft sheet, and I've got a Q-tip, and I'm going to just rub that right off. That's a first. For some reason, the alcohol blending solution is making this tin tacky. Now, that has never happened to me before. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to wipe it down with something else to see if that will relieve the situation. So yeah, washing them off helped to get some of that sticky off, and that was weird. That's never happened. It must be whatever the type of enamel that they used on here. Now, you can see this is super shiny. I think you can see, I can see it. It's super shiny, so I'm taking a little bit of that sheen off. I took it off of this one already with just some steel wool, just rubbing it over that real quick, just a circular motion to get some of the shiny because I don't think a shiny ghost is really what I want. So I got that all cleaned up, and then I'm going to real quick trim the edges. I'm gonna clean that off. I hate when that sheds. So I'm going to just nick the corners on all of here into my little basket here, just so that it's not so pointy. I don't like super pointy tin. Not my jam. So I just very slightly cut those edges off. And then I'm going to take a big metal file and just file the edges of this all real quick. And then I'm using sanding blocks to sand this down just a bit more, especially since I'm about to get out my metal punchers and punch some holes. Alright, so I've sanded down pretty well. Some combination of the sanding and the stickiness it got earlier has given them, I don't know, a little bit of dirtiness. I don't know how else to describe it, but I'm going to roll with it. Ghosts are ghosts. These are white tinted. They're not the pure white I'd like, but this is an experiment and I can always try to recreate it and just use some other products that apparently don't make this enamel sticky. So let's see. I am pulling out my Euro tool puncher, and I am going to have to switch out the size of the holes. So I'm trying to decide how big I want the holes to be. So I fiddled with this some more and tried to sharpen it with some aluminum foil and did some test cuts at some other tin. I finally just went for it, and I've got two outer holes. I started with the outer one so I could just get the corners done, and now I'm going to go ahead and punch the center of these two. Now these holes are not coming out perfect every time, but with some fiddling I can get it to work. So I'm just trying to find my center here. These holes are not fantastically perfect, but they're okay. They will work fine once I get my tassels hanging from them. So I'm going to repeat that over here on this one, and we'll be back to make some other holes and tassels. So I've got all the holes punched here in my little ghosts, and I also took just Clorox wipe and cleaned up the front of these so they're back to a bit more of a white shade. So I'm glad that that worked. But first things I want to do is I want to go ahead and punch the holes that they're going to hang from, and then I'm going to use some Novocaine black to darken them. So, and then we're going to do a bit of playing. So let me go ahead and punch these holes first. Again, I'm not being exact with any of this. I kind of want to line it up with that center hole there as best as possible, but these also have kind of a natural top to them that doesn't exactly line up with that. So I think I'm just going to try to get the peak of that. So, and I'm using, this is a 1.8 millimeter metal punch that I'm using, and it punches these nice little holes. And so now we're going to see if these will darken. Should probably test it, but I'm done with testing. I just want to go forward and I want to get these made. Now I'm darkening these partly because I really just like that age feel, and partly because, you know, the ghost needs a dark side. So we're gonna see how that goes, if they'll darken at all. It may not. Sometimes some of this stuff does not take the patina the way some of the other tins do. So, and I have, you know, you saw, I think, that I sanded the back of these, and that tends to help remove any kind of sealer that these tins have so that you can darken them. So I am, you know, see, look at this one's doing much better than that one is. I don't know what's up with that. I'm going to go ahead and grab paper towels. and then lift up anything that's left on there. And then we want to seal that patina in with some kind of wax sealer. And here I've got some Renaissance wax that I'm going to use on this, and just a piece of soft cloth. This is a piece of t-shirt that works well for this. So I am going to rub this on. So once I get all the sealer on there, I just take a different area of that t-shirt and just kind of buff it. Now the next thing I do before I want to add the tassels is I want to give my ghost some eyes so that you kind of know that it's a ghost. So what I think I've decided to do, and I want to pull out some other piece of paper. I may grab another piece of pink. So what I think I've decided to do for making the eyes is I pulled out the little circles that I punched from here at the bottom. I grabbed those out of my little trash bin, and I think I want to try to use those as eyes. And I could only find 5 of them. I'm not sure where the other one went. But I think I want to rivet these on as little eyeballs. So I've got some of my riveting things, and I've just got some little antique brass rivets I thought might contrast well against the white and the like silvery tone. And I'm using these 1.8 millimeter hole punch again, and I'm just gonna punch holes in these little circles. Now the hardest part about this is getting them off the there, like that. So we've got little holes there, and we're going to repeat this for the other ones. So I've got all my little eyes punched. Now the next thing I want to do is take my fine Sharpie again. This one I'm not going to be cleaning off the mark because these little things will either cover them up or hopefully the hole will go exactly where we want it. So now I've got where my holes marked, and we've got our little eyeballs there, and I'm going to go back with the punchers again and punch these holes. So let's get our rivets, and these I believe are from Vintage, so I just got them at Hobby Lobby. Simple enough. I'm not positive they still carry them, but I have had them for a while. Alright, so we're going to put that on like that, and we're going to take some pliers here. Let's see if I can move this in frame for y'all a little bit better. Ta-da! Okay, so I'm going to cut my rivet down just a scoosh. And trim, and I cover. I'll toss that a little bit. So I am going to rivet these on. Now that we've got our eyes on there, all spooky like, we're going to start adding tassels. And I've added one just kind of to try it out and to see the best way to do it. I haven't trimmed it yet because I want to get them all on there before I trim them. I'm using the most easy method really for making a tassel. I have a piece of cardboard, and I am wrapping it. Now I've counted how many times I've wrapped so that I can make these all about the same thickness to them, and I'm doing 22 times. So I'm counting 1, 2. Alright, so there's 22 of those, and from there I'm just easing it off the cardboard if I can. Like this, and I'm leaving these parts that are hanging, and just going straight down to where that was, and trimming, and then trimming. Alright, these are probably not the best scissors. I probably should use better scissors, but from there, I'm kind of just bunching up the end here as best that I can, and then trying to ease it into this hole. Like that. And then getting it down about even as best I can, and then I'm going to take another short length of the wire, I'm used to working with wire, the embroidery floss, and I'm flipping my little ghostie on the back, and I'm going to just tie a double knot here, and I'm going to do that for all of the holes. This one is just about done. So I took it from this shaggy mess to this, and let me show you real quick how I did that. So these are all tied, all about the same thing. The first thing I'm going to do is just trim off this bit of excess that's all hanging here. Just one quick. I am using my very good sewing scissors as opposed to those craft scissors because they were giving me fits. Nothing was getting cut straight. So from there I'm going to take, and I'm going to go ahead, and I decided to trim down the threads that I use to tie the knots with, because they seem to want to stick out in every odd direction possible. So I'm just trimming those off as close to my knot as I can. So I am taking just a super cheap comb. This is from a big package of, I don't even know, 12 from the dollar store. And I'm starting with the big openings on this side as opposed to the smaller teeth over here. And I'm just brushing it out. I'm going to do one side, flip it over, and then do the other. And I'm just combing that. Then I'm going to use the smaller teeth. So, and then again, I'm combing. I'm going to flip and do a little more combing. And this essentially just separates those strands of threads inside of the embroidery floss, and just gives it a much nicer look. So once that's done, you can see it's quite a bit different. But what I want to do is I want to even that up a bit. See how this has a more even length on it? And all I do is I take my hand, I'm going to lay that out as flat as I can, and just trim off that bit of shagginess that was caused from my Bobo craft scissors. Like I said, these other scissors are much better. And there we have some pretty stinking cute tassel ghost. So we're going to finish up these tassel ghost earrings real quick with a couple of ear wires, and then 2 different sizes of oval shaped jump rings. Now I've got some smaller ones and some larger ones, 2 for each of these, 1 small and 1 large for each of them. I hope that makes sense. And I'm using the oval ones because sometimes the thinness of the wire wants to slip through the opening in a round jump ring because it can just revolve, whereas the oval jump rings, the opening is kind of in the side, and it makes it much harder for it to just slide off. So I'm going to start with the smaller of the jump rings as I've opened it, and I'm going to slip it on and make sure that that opening kind of stays towards the back of the jump ring. And then I'm going, to the back of the ghost. I'm going to close it. And I'm using 2 basically to help the ghost hang toward the front. If I just did 1, it might only hang outward and not frontward. So I'm going to give it options. By adding more jump rings, it gives it a little more movement and more likelihood that it's going to face the right way. So I'm going to add this next one. Right. And then I'm going to face my ear wire the way I want it to face, like this, and then make sure I slide that jump ring on just that same way, and then close that jump ring. And I will do it to the other one, the same thing, and then we'll have some super fabulous, awesome ghost tassel earrings. Alright, that's it guys. I hope you have a happy Halloween and you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you have any questions, like, subscribe, all of that if you enjoyed that, and I will see y'all later. Bye!